review in like 5 months. I want to talk about Tangerine.
What?
Girl, calm the fuck down. It's not that serious. I will go with you under one condition. You must promise me that there's not going to be any drama.
I promise.
Look at me in my eyes and promise.
I promise no drama, Alexandra.
Whoa! What the fuck?
Oh, boy.
Help me, officer!
You didn't have to Chris Brown the bitch. What did you do to her?
Does your friend ever shut up?
No, that bitch been talking ever since I met her.
Hey everybody! Welcome to MovieDive, where we dive into some shit for the first time in a long time. Today we're reading Tangerine.
It's a 2015 movie about two transgender women, one of whom finds out that her boyfriend is cheating. It stars Kiki Rodriguez as Cindy, and Katana. It could be either.
I'm going from the Mortal Kombat lore. I'm assuming it's she's named after Mortal Kombat.
That could also be true. We don't know.
It's lore now. It's real.
And it also stars Maya Taylor as her friend Alexandra.
Tangerine, 2015 movie, is about two transgender prostitutes and an Armenian immigrant who frequents them. So, what did you think? What's your impressions?
I really like this movie. It's not like a big movie. It was low budget, shot on 3 iPhones. That was the big draw of this movie that people were talking about. Kind of guerrilla filmmaking, and you can see it in the movie. It feels immediate. It also feels a little bit more true and more raw than movies that we're used to seeing. And it stars transgender people, like actual transgender people, not just, cisgendered men playing trans, which I really value. It feels authentic.
I don't have any frame of reference for the transgender underground sex economy.
Yeah, I don't
so
either.
I could not speak to like how authentic it is. It felt very real. I don't know if it's like the cameras. It does look like it was shot on a phone. However, I gotta say that the actual cinematography and the way that it's shot, like, it looks good.
Yeah.
Like everything is great, and so like the way that it's depicted is very real and very, very down to earth. Where I guess I had issues is like in all of their relationships, which is what this movie is about, right? So it opens with our titular character, Sydney, right?
Cindy,
which is apparently short for Cinderella. We
That's
find
like
out later.
In the movie, yeah.
Anyway, so we start out with her, and she's hanging out with her best friend.
Her bestie, Alexandra.
Yeah, and from who we find out in a brief conversation that Cindy just got out of jail. I'm gonna keep messing Sydney and Cindy up.
Cindy.
Cindy doesn't flow as well as Sydney.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not. My mouth.
Cindy. It's
my mouth configuration is very peculiar.
What's going on with your mouth?
Anyways, so we find out that she just got out of prison, and that her boyfriend was cheating on her.
Yeah.
Now,
boyfriend/pimp.
But that's the thing. We don't find
complicated
out that he's her pimp until like a bit later.
Just slightly. They kind of like it slightly unfolds.
Yeah. So
first,
he's
her boyfriend. Then he's like somebody who possibly sleeps with a lot of women, and then we find out he's her pimp.
Which to me is like immediately like, what the fuck is going on? Because he's her pimp, right? She has sex for money with other people, but while she's in the joint, she gets upset because he cheats on her with a white woman, like
white cisgender woman.
and we see this later too with the Armenian man who is also in a monogamous relationship, but also frequent sex workers. So to me, what this kind of like all signaled is that it's kind of like trying to put together a this kind of social dissonance, I guess, for lack of a better word. This is kind of so the dissonance between the expectations of a monogamous relationship and also the reality that everyone is fucking everybody. The movie kind of culminates with all of this as everyone kind of meets each other eventually. We have the Armenian taxi driver that kind of drives around, picks up prostitutes, trying to find his favorite prostitute, which, as it happens, is Cindy. Or no, not her best friend. That her best friend is his favorite.
Alexandra is somebody that he knows, but Cindy is obviously his crush.
Okay, right.
Cindy is the one he would prefer to be with.
She's the only one for him. But he also has a family. Like he has a wife and a kid and like in-laws.
Young wife, young child.
So over the course of the movie, everyone kind of meets together at Donut Time. Yeah. Off-brand donut shop that
actually
even exist.
On brand. No, actually, Sean Baker, the dude who directed this movie, apparently the whole reason why he came up with this is because he wanted to make a movie about Donut Time.
Okay, so there it is.
And then he just happened to see that these are the folks who hang around Donut Time in that area, on that block, and that's how this story was born.
So
because he wanted to make this movie about Donut Time.
They all meet up, and everyone finds out that everyone is fucking everyone else, and in the end, everyone's cool. So I guess the issue for me is that like you had a lot of what to me felt like petty encounters because Cindy tries to get revenge on her boyfriend, who she doesn't actually seek out. She instead seeks out the prostitute that he had sex with.
Yeah, he decides that she decides that finding the sex worker who's sleeping with her pimp is better than finding the man himself. Yeah. So she like, we see her make that switch, and then off to the races she goes.
At the same time, the Armenian driver's mother-in-law also tries to confront him by following him to wherever he ends up going. Yeah. And so it's a bunch of these like kind of petty maneuvers to really just kind of get revenge for slights and for wrongs. Which, and again, this is where the dissonance comes in. What is a slight and what isn't is very blurred. And I'm still not sure. Blurred? Yeah, because she kind of has this expectation of monogamy, but then it's also like, I guess they're the customers, right?
Yeah.
So the customers are different.
You have to look at it like sex workers provide a service. Mm-hmm. So if she's providing a service, that's one thing, and then her relationship with this person is another thing. And you also have to look at it like she's a transgender woman. She's a black transgender woman. If this guy that she has this emotional attachment to, she doesn't have an emotional attachment to her Johns. She has an emotional attachment to this guy. No. If she has an emotional attachment to this man, and he's sitting up here and he's sleeping with a white cisgender woman, that feels like, and the woman, she's blonde. She's kind of raggedy looking. She's not even, like, when we finally find her, she's strung out. She's emaciated from drugs. And this is the person that her guy goes to.
But then we find the guy, and the guy looks exactly like her. The guy looks exactly
like her. Yeah, but that's
like
her boo. That's her boo.
He's emaciated and strung out.
That's her guy. Cindy is, like, bad as hell. Like, you can see it. She's strong. She, everybody wants her. She's obviously, like, a popular person on the block.
Well, like, okay, like, what do you, when you say, like, bad as hell, like, what's the defining trait of her? Like,
she's beautiful.
Like, she's easily provoked, and she's not afraid of physical confrontation. Yeah. So,
but that's not what I'm talking.
There's like this vulnerability there. I guess
there is a vulnerability there, and also I'm talking about that vulnerability. Yeah. Because as you can see it when they say, "Oh, he's cheating on me with fish," which fish is slang for a cisgendered woman. Then she says he's cheating on me. He's cheating on me with white fish. That's like an extra. Those are so many levels of hurt because she's transgender. So like what? Like does he prefer? Is he actually looking for a quote unquote real woman? And then she's sitting up here running around in this blonde wig. Is he preferring white women? Like what, how am I stacking up to basically like society's beauty standards? There's like a subtext there. There's like a whole thing there.
I feel like we're asked to take for granted that this is that's a specific layer on which.
I think it depends on where you're coming from, honestly.
Well, yeah, I guess. No, I have no frame of reference.
As soon as she said that, and as soon as we see who the girl is, you can see it, and you can see it in other stories. I mean, it's not as prevalent now. I mean, obviously, because there's more interracial relationships now. Black is beautiful, is stronger now. But do we get to see, like, for example, this movie? We don't really get to see trans women a lot. We don't get to see black trans women a lot. So there's not as much representation in the media. You're gonna have this thing where you're constantly doubting yourself. Of course, Cindy. What I mean by she's bad is like she doesn't seem like she has a lot of doubt in herself. She seems very confident in what she's doing.
I disagree. I think she has a ton of doubt. Like the fact that she is completely insecure in almost everything is the catalyst for why she goes on this entire like romp to begin with. But
what I'm saying is that's the basis for it.
And her romp is really
the race and the being this chick being cisgender. There's a little bit of hurt there.
No, there's a lot of hurt, but that's the thing. Is just like it just seems like if they're treating sex casually, which is that it's a job, or a way to get off, then why is she upset specifically that he has sex or gets off with like somebody else?
Because it's like challenging,
and like why is
challenging her,
and she's also not confronting him about it. She's going to
she's
up,
not until the end.
She's going to assault. Another woman who she has no guarantees or proof of anything. She just heard a name. She correlates that with another name that sort of sounds like the name that she's heard. It ends up working out because I guess if it didn't, the movie would be a lot more difficult. But in the end, she does find the right woman, beats her up, takes her on a bus to see her boyfriend. Then remembers that she has a commitment to her best friend's like
Alexandra's singing
performance. Yeah. She shows up there. They smoke some meth. They bitch each other out a lot. And then they go to Donut Time to confront the boyfriend. And that
now, actually, I would like to talk about the fact that she takes time out of this rampage to go and see her friend's show. Yeah. Because there's another theme, the larger theme. Well, the theme that you're talking about monogamy and the nature of sexual and emotional relationships. That's a very strong subtext in this movie. It's pretty much the driving catalyst of this movie, though no one really ever speaks on it. But a thing that this movie is explicitly about is friendship. And I actually like how they do that. Alexandra, Cindy's bestie, pays for her rent while she's in jail. These, and they're not wealthy people, obviously, but she makes sure that she can hold down her home while she's away in jail. Cindy shares one of her last dollars with Alexandra to buy a donut for them to share. Alexandra walks with her for the first part of her rampage until she's like, I gotta get out of, I can't be running around with you doing this crazy stuff. And then Alexandra takes time out of her, mission to go and confront Chester, her boyfriend, over this mess, to go and see Alexandra's show, dragging this woman along with her. It's like they keep going back and forth. You can see how they're very close, almost like they're ride or die for each other. And the way that it ends, the way the movie ends, I thought was very touching.
It does have a kind of a sweet ending. That's true.
which happens after that, the hate crime where these people, which they don't even do them, they're like, we're not even gonna show these people's faces. They're just like some random bigots in a car throw a cup filled with pee onto Cindy, and she's just drenched in this person's piss that they took the time to put into a cup. And at the end of the movie, after all this happened, Cindy and Alexandra are sitting in a laundromat while Cindy's clothes are being cleaned. And Cindy has to take off her wig because it's drenched in piss. It's ruined. And Alexandra gives her the hair off her head so that she can wear it, so that she can be, comfortable in that laundromat. That's like, this whole movie, as crazy as all this crazy stuff as, it is, it has this very sweet, dedicated core about friendship, which I actually liked.
I liked everyone in it. The
They're
only
all
thing
so
is
good.
that I just couldn't buy into the main thread of the plot, which is like this revenge.
I've seen movies about revenge before, and for me, this movie, it had an earnestness to it, and I like the people in it. I don't know. It's something that I want to see. I want to see more trans representation in
It's
media.
definitely more realistic.
It's more real.
It's completely realistic.
Yeah.
That I can see. Whether being completely realistic makes it good, I don't know. But it's spaced very well. It's shot very well. It has a great soundtrack.
Oh, fantastic
that is very
soundtrack.
well, it gives you kind of that 90s MTV music video kind of vibe.
There's a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
It moves you right along. Every music cue comes
so
in
it's
right
it's
on
an
time.
it's an easy watch. It's just like honestly I don't see why anyone couldn't watch it unless you're super squeamish about I don't know, trans people and drugs and prostitution.
The rating for this movie says something like was it dangerous sexual encounters or explicit sexual encounters or whatever, and I was like, I don't even know if it was that explicit besides the one dude who was hanging dong in the motel brothel.
It's very what's the word? Irreverent.
I would recommend it. I would say watch it, and then you can do what you want with it. You can take it and enjoy it and see it as kind of an inspiration for casting and for guerrilla shooting like I do, or you can, not get into it, but at least give it a chance. I say watch it. All right.
Yes. All right. Yeah. That's it. And then we're gonna make another movie dive in 5 months. So be ready for that. I'm going back to bed.